All right, I'm Kathy Lawson, Chief Knowledge Officer of the Great Discovery, and welcome to our Wednesday course spotlight session. I'm so excited tonight because I've had the opportunity to work with Renee over the last few months as she's been attending some of the sessions that I have, and we've been working together, and I've gotten to know her. And I'm going to read her phenomenal bio here in just a moment, but I just want to say, Renee, I just so love your passion and your dedication and truly what you're going to talk about tonight, your voice. It's just she's so powerful and she's just got a beautiful message. So I'm so glad you all are here to hear this. And I just want to read her bio because that's pretty phenomenal too. So Renee is a dedicated leadership and life coach committed to helping women rediscover their voices and live authentically. With a focus on guiding individuals towards empowerment, she specializes in assisting her clients through her unique voice blueprint. Drawing from her personal journey and experiences, Renee empathizes with the challenges many women face in speaking up, setting boundaries, and embracing their worth. Her coaching style is characterized by compassion, understanding, and practical strategies tailored to each individual's needs. Through her transformative coaching programs, workshops, and speaking engagements, Renee empowers you to break free from fear and self-doubt, creating a supportive space to flourish. With Renee's guidance, women discover the courage to step into their power, embrace their imperfections, and live life authentically. And so tonight she's going to talk about her course called 10 Steps to Finding Your Voice. And it's all yours, Renee.
First of all, I want to say grateful and gracious thank you, Kathy, Sandra, and Tim, for reaching out to me and allowing me to share my voice on your stage. So much gratitude to all of you and to each of you for showing up. Something I often say is when you show up to life, life shows up for you. So with that said, I'm going to start with a couple of questions. I hope you have a paper and pen or notepad ready because I'd like you to take some notes. This will be a little interactive, so get ready to share your voice as well. So imagine not knowing if you would ever speak again. Imagine not knowing how you would communicate. Imagine not knowing that the last words you spoke may have been the very last words you would ever speak. Now imagine the impact you get to make on the lives of others when you do. In 2013, my world was turned upside down. I had sores all over my vocal cords that kept me away from the entire public. I was no longer allowed to be with my family, my best friend. I had sores all over my vocal cords. It was the most pain I ever endured in my entire life. We heard from our pain comes our purpose. And in my life, that's exactly what happened. I was in so much pain. I didn't think I had a purpose anymore. This vibrant gal that you see in front of your screen was in a deep depression and didn't want to live anymore. I wanted God to take me home because I had no cure. Doctors had no cure. I was in the ER twice and in pain that you wouldn't wish on a worst enemy if you ever had one. But it was a long time later that I realized there was a reason I went through that. Because what you go through, you also get to grow through. And that's a choice. And I chose the high road. And I'm grateful that I have a voice today because I'm here to share it with each and every one of you. I was able to write a book that became a 4 times #1 bestseller called Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains and Unleash Your Greatness. This is the book. There was no chat GPT at the time when I wrote this. It was me and Google saying, can you start a sentence with this? Does this go in quotes or bold or italics? I didn't know. But I knew I had a burning passion inside of me to serve, to give others, because I didn't want anybody else struggling to find their own voice the way I did. You see, my real life became a mirror image of the metaphoric life I was living, not speaking up, people pleasing. It was fear of judgment. It was everything that I wanted so much that I never did. I stood up for everybody else but myself. I was your biggest cheerleader. But the girl looking back at me, she never got a second look. So everything I've created, I'm very passionate about because Six Sigma talks about a proven path. Long before I knew of the great discovery and Sandra and Tim and Kathy, I created the voice blueprint because that was and is my proven path. And it aligns perfectly with Six Sigma. DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, in what it's improve and control. Now, although we don't control our lives, there are things we get to choose in life. And some things we do have control of, whether we're responding or reacting. And those are within our control. And so I'm here to share with you 10 steps to finding your voice that I created, and it's on the Great Discovery. I have the link right there. So you have that in the chat. It's a free course. I'm going to be doing a paid version with vulnerability and some Six Sigma things in there as well. So I've got a lot of things on the burner that will be for your disposal in the Great Discovery, at your disposal, I should say. So one of the things, the first thing in the 10 steps is self-reflection. And I had to be vulnerable. That's the first thing in the voice blueprint. The first pillar is vulnerability. And you have to get real with yourself. You have to be vulnerable. And I'm going to tell you, it's not pretty. It's really not. People don't like to be alone. They don't like to look within. But the proven path, it starts within. You have to go in order to come out with a stronger voice and more confident one. So self-reflection is the first one. I'm going to give you some of them tonight. The others, you'll have to get the ebook and download it. So that's something that, think about that. So get your pen and paper, as I said earlier. What lights you up? What is something that you can think about within yourself? That self-reflection that you really, I mean, like, it's all you want to think about is that thing that lights you up. As I said, that's your first step, but it's being vulnerable too. Think about that. We're often working outside of ourselves, the external validation, but think about the real REAL life versus the REEL life that we often see on social media. That's all external. That's what you want people to see. But what's the real life? What's your real voice? The one that talks to you all the time. Is it words of degradation or is it words of affirmation? So think about those things. The second one is identify. Identify your inner critic. That's a tough one. But think about the words you speak to your best friend. Are they the same words you would speak to yourself? Often the answer is no. So what are those words? You may even do a visual. Put a chair in front of yourself and imagine your best friend right there. I know mine is watching over me from heaven with my dad. So they're still around me. For that, I'm truly grateful. But what are those words that you would tell your best friend? You would not call them an idiot. You would not say, what's wrong with you? Put yourself in that position and speak those affirming words, the loving words, the caring words, the kinder words, the gentler words. The next one is goals. This is not just business, but personal. We talk about business a lot, and people say, well, that's personal, it's not business, or that's business, it's not personal. But honestly, it is. To me, it's both. Because the way you are one way is really the way you are in life. If you're like a jerk in life, I don't know you'd be so great in business. If you're a jerk in business, I don't know you'd be such a great person in life. Those are the people I want to do business with, is the kinder ones. The ones that have a heart, but have goals. So write down those things. What are your goals for you, not your family, not what external people or sources say you should do? But that's part of finding your own voice. Who are you? And what do you really want? Are you living life the way somebody else anticipated for you, a doctor, whatever that is? Or is it your own life? Maybe you lost sight of that, with or without glasses. Maybe you lost sight of it, of what that really is, because you anchored in to somebody else's decision of what your life should look like. How about anchoring in on what your own is? And you may have lost that identity because your identity became what somebody else wanted for you. You know, we grow up in families and cultures, but who are you at the core? Your core values, your core beliefs. Take some time to get to know that and know who you are. Sit with yourself and get to know yourself. The next one is self-compassion. Have that empathy for you. Have that compassion for you. As I said earlier, we often give it outwardly, externally to others with open arms and open heart, but behind closed doors, too fat, too maybe too thin, too something, too something. And then we overindulge in things. We try to numb ourselves in some way. I'm going to share something with you. When I was in the ER with sores all over my vocal cords and told I may never speak again, the doctor, the ER doctor, he put a mask over my face with holes in it. You know what that was for? He sprayed a viscose agent onto my vocal cords to numb them. But guess what, guys? Just like in life, the numbness, it wore off. And the pain, it was still there. They couldn't get rid of it. But it wasn't they, it was me. People often ask, well, how did you get better? And the doctors didn't have a cure for you. You were silenced. I was quarantined for 4 months, not knowing if I would ever be let out again or speak again. So it wasn't just being quarantined. I was not allowed with the public. I remember asking before my voice went out, the ER doctor, if I was contagious. He looked at me, and I even wrote that in the book. He looked at me. He said, oh, you're highly contagious. You can't be with the public. And I was on a podcast once, and someone said, the best question I've ever had, nobody's asked me that since, but the gal said to me, do you remember the last words you spoke before you lost your voice? I said, that's a great question. I don't. Most likely it was to my best friend because she was with me in the ER. It's most likely it was her, but I don't remember. You know, people say, make sure you tell people you love that you love them. Yes, make sure you do. Make sure you use your voice in a positive way, not just outwardly, but inwardly, because our bodies keep score. And mine kept a big score. And it shut me down for a long time in a very painful way. I believe that pain was to lead me to my purpose. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, as I said earlier, but I also wouldn't take it away from what I went through, because from that, I was able to grow through it and know the pain and suffering that other people, especially women, people say, do you help men too? Yes. I worked corporate America for 25 years. I helped everybody. But the person that needed it the most at the time was me. So that's also when I lost my voice and I got sick, because I was taking care of multi-million-dollar teams and departments and managers and everybody outside of me. I never felt good enough. And I don't think anything I ever did was enough, because the more I did, the more they expected. And I never said no. So learn to say no. It is a complete sentence, but it doesn't mean you sentence yourself to a life not worth living. So be clear on that. The other one is setting boundaries. Boundaries are not just for sports, although at the time I thought that's all they were there for. It's boundaries in basketball and football and baseball and soccer. There's boundaries. And people say, oh, you're out of bounds. There's a penalty. What happens when you're out of bounds and someone steps out of bounds in your life? What do you do then? You say, oh, that's okay. And somehow you think you deserved it, but you don't. set boundaries, say no. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means you're having respect for yourself and you value yourself. So have that respect, have that self-worth instead of self-doubt. Speak words of affirmation rather than degradation. I often equate my story with The Wizard of Oz. I really didn't understand when I was growing up why I just loved that movie so much. I'm like, what was it that drew me? Every time it was on, I couldn't get enough of it. And I still watch it. When it's on, I still watch it. And I think about why I was so drawn. But I'm going to leave you with this. Think about your own life. We have the power within. Dorothy, if you remember that story, and if not, Google it. Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. She was in this whirlwind, right? This tornado. And she landed in a faraway place and was looking for the land of Oz to find her way back home. And she came across all these characters. The Scarecrow, he happened to be looking for a brain. And if you also remember, he was the smartest one there. The Tin Man, looking for a heart. He cried so much that Dorothy had to oil him with the oiling can. He had the biggest heart, but he was looking for a heart. The Cowardly Lion. The lion was looking for courage. Courage. If you remember that story, and I'll remind you if you don't, he leapt in front of the Wicked Witch to protect Dorothy and Toto and all the other characters in the story because he had the most courage there. Have courage and build confidence. They go together. So every character was looking for something outside of themselves rather than the power they each had within. Dorothy didn't need the ruby slippers and click them 3 times and say, I want to go home. Home is right here, guys. It's right here. It's in your heart. You have the answers. The power is within, just like that movie. And that movie is really real life for each and every one of you. So I encourage you. The word encourage has courage. It's encouraged. Get the ebook, connect with me. I also offer coaching. Now we can have it in multiple languages around the world. So wherever you are, we can communicate. We have a voice. Your voice matters. You matter. Your story matters. But don't make somebody else's story your own. Live the life that you were meant to live. And if you forgot, I'll help you walk yourself back home to who you truly are in that journey of finding your voice. Tim, Sandra, Kathy, to each and every one of you, my heartfelt gratitude for allowing me to share my voice on your stage. This has been an honor, a privilege, and always a pleasure to join our voices together and to be part of your community because I adore each and every one of you. I really am honored. I couldn't have more love and gratitude in my heart for what you have accomplished here and what you continue to achieve. And to Michael, Harry, if you could hear my voice in heaven, thank you with Bill Smith for creating Six Sigma and Sandra for meeting Kathy, the whole story. This is one you want to embark upon. This is a journey you want to be part of. I'm on it and I invite you to join me because it's one that I'm really blessed to be part of. So thank you so, so much.
Well, thank
Wow.
you, Renee. That's always, I mean, I've heard you tell your story a couple of times, and every single time it gives me goosebumps. And I'm just so, amazed at the journey that you've been through. So thank you for sharing it with this group and continue to share it as I know you will on our platform and with others that come along. So anybody have questions or comments for Renee?
I got a comment. I
Wait,
never
I'm
lost my voice, but I lost my tear ducts for a while, but it just started working again. That's crazy.
I love you, Tim.
Renee, I just have to say, you know what? We are so blessed to have you in our lives. You are such a beautiful person. And sometimes in life, it takes things like this to go through for you really to find that voice And I hope that people on here tonight can really truly start to understand what finding your voice really means. It's not about just being able to speak, you guys. It's about you, who you are. Like Renee said, digging deep, really looking in the mirror. And it's not easy to do. And, in my case, I've been through it a couple times in my life. And I look back, and most people say, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to go through that again. Hey, if I have to go through it again, I will, because I came out better on the other end. And that's what's amazing. And you are just a beautiful person. And we're so blessed. That's all I can say. We are so blessed to have you as part of our family. So thank you. And thank you. And everybody, I want to let everybody know that Renee stepped up tonight. We had the course creator at the last minute, had to change dates. And I reached out to Renee and she said, absolutely, hands down. So thank you for that, Renee. We really appreciate you and what you did tonight.
Well, thank you so much. Something I want to also add to that, everybody, we have an instrument. I don't mean a piano or a flute. We have an instrument that we get to play every single day of our lives. It's called your voice. I actually saw mine on a big screen. I wrote in my book that wasn't how I intended to get to the big screen, but that's how I saw my vocal cords on a big screen in a doctor's office because they were looking to see if it was permanent damage. So I did see what they look like. And there are two chords and they come together. And that's an instrument that plays a sound. But how are you playing that sound? What sound are you making? Not just outwardly, but inwardly. So please make sure you use that instrument with love, with grace, with confidence. I really look forward to sharing it with you, with speaking with you. And I would love it. Yes, questions. I see hands up. So James, you're up.
So thank you so much for sharing that, Renee. And I just have to say with tears in my eyes, what she said, what Sandra said. Yeah, that's what I want to say, what Sandra said. You touched my heart. I've had tears of joy in my eyes just hearing what you lived through and how you leverage that to really lift other people up in their lives. It's one of the things I love about the Great Discovery is getting to meet people like you. And I cannot encourage everyone on the call and anyone who might listen to this later, get Renee's book. I purchased her book months ago, and I read it 3 times. And guess what I did with the book? Anybody who knows me and knows what I'm really all about knows that it's all about my daughter. My son already has his inheritance. He doesn't need that anymore. He's off on his own on his fancy union job or whatever. But it's all about my daughter right now. And since she was an infant, I have photos of her laying on my chest in my conference room while I'm working on the computer, and she's listening to my heart while I'm working. And she's been to all but one out in Orlando. Been to every business convention I've ever been to. And the thing that I do when I go to business conventions, Renee, is I always seek out the most successful woman or women at the convention to introduce my daughter to, because I want her to be empowered and know that there's no ceiling she can't break through, and there's no situation she should ever have her voice stifled. And so I have to tell you, Renee, you are one of the women that I will make a point of her getting to meet, because she just needs to meet you. Oh, by the way, after I read your book, I gave it to her and she hasn't given it back. So that'll tell you folks, you got to get the book.
Thank you. Oh, wow. James, that means so much to me. You and I have connected. Connected from the beginning. And thank you for getting my book. The ebook is not the book. It's different on The Great Discovery. It's an ebook. It's 10 steps. This is an actual book that I wrote. Again, it was something that I didn't think I never saw myself as an author. We are the author of our own life. And the thing is, whether you're a real author writing a book, the beauty of life is that you get to edit it whenever you want. You get to edit it. You get to change things. If you don't like something, it's not easy to change it because, as I said, we're anchored into a story. But you get to, I emphasize the word get to, because you have that ability. And capability has the word ability in it too. You're able to. So please reach out privately. I'm on, if you want to, however you want to reach out, please let's share our voices. And in the book, it's a workbook within a book. I'm just going to do a little plug there. I have takeaway sections after each chapter. I made 11 chapters of a divine number of 11. It's very important to me. But I could not envision ever having 83 pages. 8 plus 3 is 11. Not that you couldn't figure that out, but I didn't know that until I looked at how many pages it turned out to be, and I saw that. So it's a workbook within a book. So I encourage you to get the actual book if you can. It's like $8 and change on Amazon. Yeah, it's James, that was so kind. Thank you so much. Casey, I see your hand is up.
Yes. So I just want to say earlier today, I sent scriptures to my family because we connect with one another via text, encouraging one another. And I sent scriptures about the power of the tongue. And, you just told a story. And the first thing when you started talking, I thought about Maya Angelou. I know why the caged bird sings. And just to hear you share your story was very encouraging because we do all have a story. And it just resonated because I was just speaking with my family, just encouraging them and sharing, hey, you know what, you guys, let's be reminded of what we say, how we say it, and how we speak blessings and over ourselves and over our family and loved ones. So thank you. And I'm going to get the book.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's also on my website, the book. So I'll put that in there too.
And just before Elizabeth comes on, I just want to, here's the thing, it's a great session when you have to leave people wanting more, because we will have to stop at the bottom of the hour to switch over to Dr. Ivanka. But you know what? That's what's great is people want more. And so we'll get to Elizabeth and maybe Ron and then switch over. So go ahead, Elizabeth.
Super, super quick. And I'm actually going to come on screen. Hi, Renee. You and I
Hi,
have
Elizabeth.
ended up in a couple different scenarios together. And I actually lost your contact information. If it's in the book, that's great. But that's why you haven't heard from me. Um, I've been through some really intense trials and tribulation. I'm back on the horse all the way. So if you want to put your information in the chat, I would love to get with you a lot also because you are the perfect soul. There's a large group of women who are doing amazing in life and they want to give a hand up for free to women who have a heart and a soul like yours because we need all of us with all our strengths. There is no weakness so that we can reach the many who are starving to hear the voice that you just sang. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. Wow. I say when you show up to life, I said earlier, life shows up for you. I did this. Cassandra reached out to me. I didn't know who was going to be here, but I always know the right people are where they need to be at the right time. So thank you so much, Elizabeth. Let's definitely connect. I put my contact in there.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Oh.
Let you go next.
Renee, it was very powerful. I just wanted to find out from you, how long ago was it that you lost your voice? Because just hearing you, it's hard to imagine that that really happened. And I know it did, but how long ago was that?
2013.
Okay.
2013. Yeah.
Okay.
I was a manager in a company and I was taking care of these multi-million-dollar teams and departments. And the more I did, the more the company gave me because they said, look at her, look at her, look at her. And I kept going, going, going. And I never said no to anything, never said anything was too much. And I just kept doing it with a smile. And my best friend, as I said, who's watching over from heaven, she yelled at me. She said, slow down. I said, no, I have to do this. I have to do that. No, 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 no. And then there was a higher power that said, I tried to put your best friend in the world with you to help you. And you said, no, you had to keep going and you don't have to keep going. You need to stop. And there was a screeching halt put upon my life where I had no choice. I always say you have a choice. I didn't have one, actually. I really didn't have one at that point. So it was something that I needed to go through to be of better service, not just to everybody outside of me, but first for myself. So I have an overflow to pour from.
And one more thing, we do a showcase on Saturday mornings for course creators. Would you be interested in doing one on Saturday morning?
I will say a gracious and grateful yes. And thank
Awesome.
you.
All right.
Let's
Thank
connect,
you.
Ron.
All right.
Yes.
Bye.
Okay, Marcia, if you're really quick, because we got less than a minute. And you're on mute.
Okay.
There
I
you go.
just want to thank Renee for your courage and for learning that lesson so powerfully that you're able to share it with the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you for being here and staying on to listen to this, because there is power in our voices. And we weren't meant to go through life alone. We really weren't. We always take on that, like, I have to do this by myself. We're not. We're not. Look at all these opportunities that Great Discovery gives us to be on all these things, these different live trainings to help us. So we're not alone. Especially as an entrepreneur, you feel you're left out to figure things out, but you're not. So I encourage you, talk about courage, to reach out to me and let's share a voice. Let's see what's possible, because so much is. Thank you again, Kathy, Sandra, Tim, everybody here that showed up. I am so truly grateful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Renee. And we'll switch over to the next session. And we will continue to share your voice in the future. You know that.